Hey, what's up guys? I'm Sodapop, this is the left pedal, and today's episode is going to be a little bit different. You guys message me all the time asking what's going on with the Datsun and when I'm going to do the turbo swap, and that's fair considering I've kind of disappeared off the internet for the last few months. So today we're going to look a little more in depth in the Datsun. I'm going to show you guys a lot of what needs to be done and what has been done and what you haven't really seen on the channel before. So got a lot to talk about, should be a pretty cool episode, let's get to work. We started this YouTube channel about 2 years ago. However, I got the Datsun like 6 years ago. So you guys missed a lot of the initial restoration process. When I first got the car, it had tons of wiring issues. I ended up putting a couple alternators in there. That was actually the first thing I did to the car. And I ended up putting a few batteries in it and going through the wires. And what happened, I guess at some point a rat had gotten into the car and chewed up a bunch of wires and it was a mess. But anyways, eventually got that all sorted out. I spent a lot of time on the interior of this car because it was really bad when I got it. It was red, white, and blue. So I ended up making it black, white, and blue. And I think it looks pretty cool. It's got a cool steering wheel from MSA on it with a Z horn button. I had a bunch of problems with the vacuum lines like a lot of 280zx drivers do. And so eventually I just decided to sit down and just read about it for like days and figure out how it works. So when we get into this, we're going to actually be kind of rerouting some of the vacuum lines and making the intake manifold a little cleaner, but I'll talk more about that later. A stupid 17-year-old version of me decided to try and Bondo around the gas port, and it's bad. So that's one thing we're gonna have to fix. We're just gonna take the panel from the parts car and we're going to have it welded in that spot because I kind of messed that up myself. But to be fair, when I got the car, there was just a giant rust hole right there. So there's only coilovers on the back of the car. The front of the car has springs, but in the next few weeks, we're going to be building our own coilovers. So that's gonna be pretty cool. And then so I put some CCW Classics on it and some wide ZG flares from Fiberglass Mafia. I put the little ducktail wing and air dam from MSA on the car. So that's where we're at now. So now let's talk about what happens to the car next. Probably the biggest change I'm gonna make to the whole vehicle is this. Yes, that is a carburetor. Now, why would I carburate a perfectly good fuel injected engine? Well, because I managed to get my hands on something really cool. This is a draw-through carb turbo kit. I believe it's made by Crown, and it's pretty cool. I'm a really big fan of clever engineering, and I cannot think of a cooler, more simplistic way to make power than this. It might be a little hard to visualize sitting in pieces, so let me show you a picture of what it looks like. Basically, the carb sits in the front with the turbo directly behind it feeding into the intake manifold. The exhaust manifold wraps right around to the hot side of the turbo and goes out the back. Pretty freaking cool if you ask me. And being that the point of the Datsun is not to be a daily driver, but just a fun driving experience car, I think the draw-through turbo kit is gonna be just about perfect for what I'm trying to do. That's pretty exciting, but it's gonna have to wait a little while. As much as I would love to boost the car right now, there's more work that needs to be done. I gotta do some rust and frame repair, and I gotta get some bigger brakes before I start adding power to this thing. Since my Datsun is the Grand Luxury model, it has recirculating ball steering, and that gets right in the way of the turbo. So I'm gonna have to swap out the steering rack and the cross member for power rack and pinion setup. So I'm gonna replace the cross member, I'm gonna replace the brakes. I'd like to save up and get a full front suspension. So when I send the car out to get the rust repair and the paint done, when I get it back, I'm gonna build the full front suspension under the frame. I'm gonna put the new cross member and steering in, and then I'm gonna boost it. But I am moving again in a couple weeks, so I gotta put the car back together because I need it to run. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to refurbish and kind of restore the naturally aspirated engine that's in the car, and then build the turbo carb engine on the side. So then once that engine's done, I can swap it in without having to have the car down for a long period of time. Now, as far as keeping the naturally aspirated engine in the car, I know that's not really what you guys were expecting, but it's gonna be pretty cool. If you look over on my desk here, I'm going to be putting together a custom fuel rail. I'm going to show you guys how to build your own DIY fuel rail. And then I'm also going to be cleaning up the engine components and the intake manifold, and we're making it look nicer in there. When I was taking everything apart, I didn't think I'd be reusing the exhaust, so I kind of hacked it all up. But that's okay, because in a couple episodes, we're going to be putting headers in the car. So you guys are going to get to see the header install and review and hear the exhaust. So that's pretty cool trade-off. I'm going to be replacing the ball joints and tie rods, and we're going to be doing new brake pads and rotors. And then when I put the engine in, basically I'm going to do it all at once. So I'm going to put the big brake kit in, I want to get an Apex front suspension, and then the turbo carved motor. And then that just leaves the transmission. The transmission though, I don't think it's going to wait. I would like to, as soon as I get this car running again, immediately hit the transmission, because I don't want an automatic anymore. So get ready for that. I don't keep saying it's going to happen, so I'm not going to make any promises, but there's a lot of stuff coming on this car really soon, and I can promise you consistent episodes every week or every other week for like a few months. So pretty simple episode, that's about it. I just want to let you guys know that I am still alive and that the Datsun project is still going, and that we got a ton of cool stuff coming in the next few weeks. Lots of progress gonna happen on the Datsun, so looking forward to it. Thank you guys for being patient with us, and I will see you next time.